I'd now like to welcome onto stage to discuss how broadband can boost the socioeconomic development of Asia Pacific, Regional Director of the ITU, Atsuko Okuda. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting ITU to this very interesting, insightful event today. My name is Atsuko Okuda. I am the Regional Director of ITU Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific. I will talk a little bit about the demand side, as Martin just discussed, and how broadband interacts with socio-economic development. I'm pretty sure that the audience know about ITU already, but for those who may heard about ITU for the first time, we are the oldest UN agency specialized in information and communication technology, and we were established in 1865 at the time of telegraph. And I'm sure that many of you are already working in the radio communication sector of ITU as well as standardization, but you may or may not be interacting with the development side. We have the mandate of connecting the unconnected by 2030. Let me just start with that mandate of connecting the unconnected. And Martin also mentioned about the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals of ITU. This is the results of the latest regional review of SDGs and where we are. I don't know how you feel about it. As of 2022, we are not actually on track on all of the SDGs. In some cases, especially in the environment sector, we are regressing. So there is a high expectation from the different communities for digital technology to support, accelerate, and deliver the socio-economic benefits. And for that, we need connectivity. And another indication, this slide shows the impact of COVID. Some of you may know that our sister agency called UNDP produces a report on human development. And that looks at the well-being of people, access to education and health and so forth. And as you can see, we were progressing quite well until COVID hit. So we are seeing a decline for the first time. And that really shows not only the economic impact of COVID, but on the well-being of people. And how does that translate into the ICT sector then? According to the latest ITU estimates, there are still 2.7 billion people offline. Now, I don't know how you feel about the number, because last year, the number was 2.9. And we were totally shocked because that showed that in the span of 2 years, there were 800 million people who joined the internet for the first time. So there was a significant rapid increase in the number. But if you think about it, this year, it's 2.7. That clearly shows that the growth rate has been slowed. So now everyone got onto the internet, but there are still 2.7 billion people, and 96% of them are living in developing countries. Now, I did want to do the bar chart, but in an alphabetical order, I listed the Asia and the Pacific member countries and the fixed broadband subscriptions. And I'm pretty sure you have seen it. ITU collects the ICT data. We have a number of data such as mobile broadband, fixed broadband subscriptions, as well as affordability. And you can see that there is a wide disparity across the region. ITU covers 38 countries from Iran eastward. So we have, of course, the top performers and the rest. And the rest are not really making progress fast enough to catch up. And I also want to highlight that some of these countries are showing a decline in fixed broadband subscriptions. So this is something perhaps this group may want to pay attention to. And we are also very curious about the reasons. And I just want to also talk about a little bit about ITU data. As you know, ITU publishes the data that we have, and by country and by type of indicators, you can see all kinds of figures. So this is a snapshot summary of Thailand, for example. We have, for example, the data on fixed broadband subscriptions per 100. So it's 16, it's on par with the global average. And the individuals using the internet, 78%, which is above the world average, as well as the population coverage, regulatory authority institutional structure, the universal access service scheme, foreign industry participation, and so forth. And I hope that this information, as well as the other data, is found useful by the audience. And this is a comparison for Asia and the Pacific as a whole. So we also aggregate and disaggregate the number by region as well as by the type of information. So even though we believe that Asia and the Pacific is doing well, compared to other regions, we are perhaps in the middle. We could do more. And in terms of the market structure, on average, we have 33% foreign participation, as well as a level of competition and so forth. I think we can do more as a whole. Now, I also mentioned very briefly earlier about affordability. In order for people to subscribe or increase the subscription, the affordability is the key. If you cannot afford it, you will not be able to subscribe. And this is the chart which worries us most, because as you know, 2% of our GNI per capita is the benchmark set by the Broadband Commission to be the affordable benchmark. So any country below 2% is good. It is affordable. They can subscribe. And the above are unaffordable. So we have many countries in Asia and the Pacific which are providing, which cannot provide affordable broadband as of today. Now, this is again another worrying sign. We were seeing a progressive trend in the past, but because of COVID, more countries actually fell in the category of unaffordable broadband services. So there are countries which succeeded to bring it down, the cost, but there are more countries which increased the cost and it became unaffordable. And this is again another chart. As you see, the affordability and progress were made significantly in high-income countries, in particular in Europe. But the rest, we are seeing maybe less progress and improvement in terms of the affordability. Now, this is worrying. Why? Because if you look at some of the empirical studies, this is one of them conducted by ITU, we clearly see a strong correlation, as Martin mentioned earlier, between broadband and economic growth. So the countries with better broadband connectivity had less economic impact from COVID. So that means that if something hits tomorrow or next month, those who have broadband access may be able to weather it better than those without. And this is another study on the health side. The University of Chicago and Tufts University conducted a study on the COVID death in the United States. They looked at all the indicators, income, location, ethnicity, education level, and so forth. And they identified broadband as one of the key aspects to to determine who died and who didn't. So those people who are living in urban areas with internet access died less from COVID. And I thought that this is really a significant finding for us. There is a justification why internet or broadband is so important. Now, I'm pretty sure that you're wondering, so what is it that ITU is doing with all the convincing evidence of why broadband? And let me just share with you some of the products and tools that we have developed and we are using in our work. I hope that you have seen the ITU transmission map. We have a global map of cables and fiber optics and submarine cables globally, and we keep track of where the cables are landing, which shows, very broadly speaking, which communities and cities can be connected. And on top of that, we have this last mile connectivity toolkit, which enables us to calculate how much it will cost and based on which technology. And that, we hope, is a good tool to plan the investment. And additionally, I hope that all of you know already, ITU and UNICEF are working to connect the unconnected schools. So as of today, we have this a project called GIGA, which covers globally, and we are also supported by the UK FCDO to promote the more conducive policy environment, investment, and mapping of the unconnected schools, so that the next step of planning the investment, inviting industry, and training the schools and teachers can proceed. So as we speak, we have this project in Indonesia. We have produced a few forward-looking studies and recommendations, and we have a similar initiative in other countries too. Now, additionally, we are hoping that the same model or similar model can be applied to the health sector. As you may know, it's very hard to get the number of connected hospitals or health clinics in Asia and the Pacific. And our sense is that they are not, especially outside big cities. This is worrying. Coming from the COVID pandemic, I think this is some of the sectors that will require more close attention, and this is where we need your support, the industry support, to continue connecting these important institutions. Now, in addition to the actual initiatives and approaches, we have been doing the analysis and development of good practices on policy and regulation. Some of these topics, I hope, will be helpful to reduce the costs and investment, as well as to encourage more investment into fiber deployment. And one of them is the co-deployment with transport and energy. So we have conducted case studies on co-deployment in Bangladesh, India, China, and how successfully the broadband was deployed along with other infrastructure. Additionally, we are working with other sectors. The key for us is the whole of government approach. We learned a lot of lessons from the past. In the past, there were many sectoral digital initiatives, as you know, education, health, agriculture, commerce, and so forth. There is nothing wrong about it. But if we work together, perhaps we can produce more results, more efficiencies. So what we do is that along the SDGs on the left-hand side, we translate it into ICT terminology, which is the whole of government approach, providing connectivity, the GovStack, the one in the middle, which is the whole of government approach to digital government. And we are supporting as we speak, the smart village, smart islands, and smart cities so that people can interact meaningfully to the whole digital services and resources. And additionally, we conduct assessment on actual connectivity studies, such as Net Pracharat, which is a very successful case here in Thailand. As you know, all the villages, almost all, are connected through this initiative in partnership with industry and service providers. And we were asked to estimate the beneficiaries and the benefits of this initiative. And the preliminary study results show that farmers perhaps benefited most, especially rice farmers, and in remote areas. This initiative clearly shows the positive socioeconomic impact of broadband initiatives such as Net Pracharat in Thailand. And I hope that we can do more of this so that that can be used as the basis for investment decision in other countries. And this is the last slide. Often we are asked, so what? So what do people do when they are connected? We have also a lot of digital inclusion initiatives focusing on girls and young women, as well as youth, as you see, and people with disabilities and older persons, because their needs are very specific and different. So in partnership with industry, in particular Huawei, we have been supporting the digital skills and digital capacity development of the youth, in particular here in Thailand, and you see a lot of youth who benefited from our partnership and capacity development, and they will be the customers and users of the broadband, and they can become entrepreneurs and they can become digital farmers, and I hope that we can do more once they are connected. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, and I hope that the slides were found interesting, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. So thank you.